My daughters are 6 and 8. My 8-year-old, her name is Arya, and Asia is 6. And when they first came to us, they were 2 and 4, and I had no idea what I was doing. I think I cried profusely the first week of placement. We had mostly had babies. They were our 3rd placement, so our 5th and 6th children at that time. And I remember the assessor coming to assess them for the CBHA, the Cognitive Behavioral Health Assessment that all children within child welfare have to have upon placement, and just remember crying to her, saying, I don't know what to do with these children, as one of them was under the table, another one was standing on the table, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And so immediately we were referred to therapy, as we should be, and we actually were placed with a therapist who I still adored, missed so much, through Center for Child Counseling. Her name was Eunice, and she saw Arya, our oldest, so at the time she was about 5, and she was like, you're gonna come in these play therapy sessions, and you're gonna sit here and we're gonna just watch what she does, because she expresses herself through play. And I was like, this is weird. Okay, sure, you're telling me what to do. So I walked in the session and she goes, I want you to just sit down and she's in control. Whatever she tells you to do, you're gonna do it. And I said, okay, Eunice, I'll do it. And that was the day that I think everything shifted. That the way that we interact with children is not, in a typical normal setting, is not how you interact with trauma children that have trauma. And in our particular circumstance, we adopted March 13th, 2020, the day the world shut down. So we were literally in the courthouse as schools were being shut down. So our girls went from, I'm adopted, I have this new family, I'm experiencing this new life, to a whole new way of living. And we have found in their case, which is very unique, is that their trauma is a lot of loss. What we're seeing with them, that immediately I lost everything I once knew. I was adopted. I lost, that's a big loss. Adoption is a big loss, and I think that needs to just be said, because people think adoption is beautiful, and it is, but adoption is loss because you're still losing a part of yourself. So in our girls' case, they never went back to their schools again. They never saw their friends at those schools again. They lost their extracurricular activities. They lost their routine. They lost their structure. They lost any sense of normalcy that they had. And so they lost their therapies, they lost their services, and it was just so hard. All of a sudden, everything changed. And we're finding now that a year plus later, we're dealing with all of those traumas in a way that is intertwined with that loss of adoption as well. So in Center for Child Counseling, we receive play kits, and even now, although we are in person with our girls, there are times that for whatever reason we have to do telehealth. So we have those play kits. We can still not miss a session. We can still meet the need and not have these gap in services if someone becomes ill or there is an exposure. And we're not prolonging this, digging through this trauma that has been created from the pandemic, which I think is so important. The struggle is that we're not all trauma informed. Where I have fostered, and through my experience, I have become trauma informed. Within our licensing agency, they are very heavily trauma informed focused. But that is not the case. So as a foster parent, you get a child who you're thinking you're gonna get this sweet 6-month-old and they are headbanging, or they are screaming nonstop, or they are doing odd behaviors that you would not expect, and you don't know how to handle it. And then on top of that, you are dealing with biological parents who have their own set of issues, a lot of times through no fault of their own, because there's a generational cycle. So I think that is a huge issue, is making sure that not only are the caregivers trauma informed, but that the entire team, case managers, are trauma informed, attorneys, judges, that we are looking at these things not just from the eyes of the law, but that we're looking at them of how they affect these children.